everybody, it's Super J here, and it is now time for Super J's True Confessions from the Desert Live. This week we are on episode number 56, which means that this is our 56th consecutive week. That's more than a year, guys. In fact, it's a year and what, 3-4 months? 3 weeks rather. Anyway, we're going to get ready to get settled in here. We've had a very, very interesting week, to say the least. I'm going to have Jonathan come on in. We got the Millennials with us. We've got Yakira, and we've got Jonathan. And Jonathan is scantily clad, but Yakira's not feeling well. So we're going to, have to govern ourselves accordingly. And in, of course, keeping with the love, we always want to make sure that we're taking care of each other mentally as well as physically. So today's topic is going to be pretty serious. It's something that I think needs to be discussed more often than it is. And so we're going to talk about it today. I'm going to be reading a couple excerpts of some things that I've written, and also a little piece of Lessons Beneath the Mask from Pain to Promise, a little bit of my story in there. So, hi, Yakira.
Hello.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
You are feeling good?
Oh, not really, but...
She's like, not really, but...
What did you call it? Why do we what?
Why do we take ownership of shame when shame can be deadly? That's what the name of it's going to be. I don't think I said that, actually. So that's the name of it. Why do we take ownership of shame when shame can be so deadly? All right? So we're going to be talking about this topic. I did want to acknowledge the Millennials. Well, how are you doing, John? You feeling good today?
Yep.
Yeah. This is my metrosexual over here. He's always got to have the eyebrows perfect and, the face like... His eyebrows are on fleek, y'all, all the time. It's pretty funny. But anyway, so you don't feel good enough to really talk or anything?
I mean, what am I supposed to say?
I was just asking how you were overall. You're now graduated. You kind of forgot that you graduated. And since you've been out, you are experiencing what I call the lack of understanding, like what you're losing days and times because you don't have the same schedule that you've been so accustomed to for the last year.
Yeah, like the past 2 times that I've gone to work this past week, I totally didn't know what day it was. And so you have to write down the date on a coupon, like someone gives you a buy one, get one free coupon. You have to write the date that it was given to you. And I straight up didn't know what day it was. So.
She talked to me. She called me on my phone this morning at about 10:30. She's like, "Mom, we have an appointment at 9 o'clock." And I'm like, Yakira, it's Sunday. So she's totally losing time, but it's pretty cute. That happens, and it's great when you don't have to get up every morning and go to school. There's an adjustment that you will be making. So even though you work, but it's still a different schedule because you're not usually working as early as you would be getting up, and your time and your schedule is...
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't realize it was Sunday because I had Lion King yesterday. So, I don't know what's going on.
And you worked yesterday.
Yeah, and I worked, so I don't know what's going on with my brain.
Well,
pray for me, y'all.
Yeah, pray for all of us, actually, because I'm having a little difficulty.
Now you're on my time schedule.
Huh?
So now you're on my time schedule.
Yeah, I'm having insomnia. Which
Shame. Are we all having insomnia?
Jonathan just doesn't sleep very much. I've had insomnia before, but recently it's been pretty pronounced.
Yeah.
And last night I was on Benadryl. I had taken a Benadryl because my allergies were acting up. I had a muscle relaxer because I was feeling jacked up in my back and all. And I did not go to sleep. I took that at I don't know, it was before you got off work when I took it. So it was maybe 9 or 10. And that's one of the reasons that I told John to come pick you up because I was, under the influence.
Yeah, I didn't go to sleep. Well, I didn't. It was 2 o'clock when I realized that I was still awake, And I was telling myself, no, I should go to bed right after. But if I don't take a certain med, I will not go to sleep. Like, I don't know why, but I will sit there feeling wide awake but tired at the same time. And it's like painful. Like, I'm like, dude, I just want to go to sleep.
That's kind of sad, actually. And Jonathan, with his situation, he really doesn't sleep that much either. But he's, I don't know, what do you think, John?
I feel like John goes through like 2 nights where he doesn't sleep at all.
And then he passes out.
Yeah, and then he passes out. And I'm like, dude.
And I'm probably on...
But he passes out at the worst time. Because I went to my friends over like, a couple of days. And I was like, okay, I'm not spending the night, so I'll call you. And so I called him and my mom. Both of them were knocked out. And I was like, are you serious?
Yeah, this was like Friday. But it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, too, when she called. So she was out there being loosey-goosey, thinking everybody going to stay up all night waiting for her. But Jonathan had told her that he would be up, and he passed out. Anyway, guys, this is going to be a very interesting turn of events today. It is something that we're going to talk about that's serious. But I am on like 4 Benadryl. I've had 4 Benadryls since 5 a.m. and a breathing treatment because my allergies have just been horrendous today. And all I've been doing is sneezing uncontrollably, nose just running. I'm like, what the heck? And so now I'm starting to feel a little bit subdued. I'm not sure if it's the Benadryl or if it's the fact that I've been up for more than 24 hours at this point. So I don't know, but we'll find out.
Okay, it's working. For a second, my screen wasn't showing movement, so I thought the live wasn't working.
So anyway, we are going to talk about shame, okay? Why do we take ownership of shame when shame can be so deadly? And I just want to ask a question. Have anybody who's on the stream, have you ever experienced an older adult or someone older than you when you were a little younger saying, shame on you for whatever? Or you ought to be ashamed of yourself? This is my question. How accurate or inaccurate were those comments and those statements that were made? A lot of times people are behaving a certain way because they're going through certain trials or circumstances and situations. And I feel like in the era that I was raised in, especially coming out of the church, a fundamentalist church, as a Pentecostal apostolic church, the fact that there was this expectation of perfection when we understand that nothing and no one is perfect, but that's kind of was drilled into your head that you have to be this way or you're no good, period. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. All right?
You're no good.
Exactly. And so my question is, how many of us have taken ownership of the shame that somebody else was putting on us? And even if we thought that we were ashamed for something that we did, was it because of cues and information that we got previously that made us feel this shame and we take the ownership of it? I want to know. What about you, John? How about you answer that?
What am I answering?
Have you ever taken ownership of shame that someone else put on you? Or have you felt ashamed by yourself, but it was more because of expectations and things that had been placed on you that you didn't meet?
I think I don't really take shame from other people, more or less because I really don't care about what other people think. So as far as other people really know, I think I'm my own worst critic. So I'd probably say if anybody would shame me, it'd be myself. On top of, I've realized that, when it comes to intelligent people you tend to be harder on themselves and less likely to have other people be hard on them because they're intelligent. They know that person's opinion really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Mine should, because I'm intelligent, I should be able to do this, and that's why that person is much harder on themselves. So
I think with you, Jonathan, you just had you had great expectations and of yourself. You had a standard that you felt that you needed to meet, and some of that we kind of gave you. You know, these things like, okay, you need to strive to do this. You need to not go here. Don't be with this person. You know, I was pretty strict on Jonathan, but it was all in the realm of trying to be protective and trying to be a responsible parent. I don't think I ever used the word to Jonathan, though, that you should be ashamed of yourself. Have I ever said that to you?
No.
I don't think so. I was going to say, so that's something I've never used with these two.
You should never feel ashamed, but there always was a sense of perfection.
Right. There was high expectations all the way around. His mom was intelligent, his dad is intelligent, all college graduates, you know, everybody, there was a high expectation placed on it. We're athletic, his dad's athletic, I'm athletic, you know, everything
I needed to do had to be perfect.
That's how he felt.
Yeah,
that's not really how we.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that's what you said. I'm saying that's what it was for me in my head.
Yeah.
Everything that I saw had to be perfect. Everything I did had to be perfect.
I feel like that's something. If your parent has a high expectation on you, you automatically just get that way of thinking. But like your parents don't influence that, because my mom has never once told me if I messed up, like, "Wow, you suck." You know, like. She would always try to, yeah, she would always try to bring me up because, you know, she understands, like, if you're disappointed in yourself, that's perfectly fine for you to feel, but you can only feel that way for so long, and as soon as she'd see it, she would try to come in and, like, help us, you know, she wouldn't make it seem like, no, you have to be perfect, because if you're not my child, you know, so, you know, I get what John's saying, because mom does have high expectations, you don't want to disappoint her.
But actually, mine was myself.
Yeah, and I know, and I'm saying, you know, you don't want to disappoint your parent, but also you don't want to disappoint yourself. And what I'm saying is, when mom could see that disappointment, she made it a point to not allow you to think she's disappointed in you as well. Like she didn't want to add on to the.
Stubborn, so it doesn't really work out so well.
It didn't matter to him. It mattered to me. He is a crab for real. This is a Cancer over here. Real crab.
Sometimes she can say whatever. It doesn't matter at the time. Because I was intelligent, I was too intelligent for my own good.
He was overthinking a lot of things, and I've been accused of that.
Yeah, I'm way too intelligent for my own good, so sometimes I overanalyze, and I'm playing chess when chess doesn't even need to be on the board. So that's sometimes a problem.
Well, hello, Alton. Alton says, I don't even rent shame because I have none. And I think that's awesome. At our age, hopefully we don't have any. I do want to acknowledge Eric Randolph, Alton, Jasper, my soror, Yolanda White. Oh, I could get one out. Wow. I'm so jacked up. Yolani, my sister, and my son's Hanai Mama. She's on. So hello. And John Ballard. Thank you guys. And Joan Stanley. And who else? Martha Steele's mom is on. Hi, Martha. Oh, it's the wife. That's the wife. I'm sorry. Sorry, Martha. The mom is Layla, right? Leah. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that, Martha. But anyway, what I was getting at our age, you would hope that there's not shame. But the reason this is coming up is because of the high prevalence and the epidemic, in my opinion, of suicides that are happening in this day and age, and the amount of suicide from our young people, and even some older people, though. And this is what's really interesting. But a lot of the suicides are due to someone feeling shame, someone feeling that they don't measure up, someone just being in horrible pain. And so my kids and I, we watched a little series on Netflix. It was called 13 Reasons Why. And at the end of the day, this young girl who was in this situation was encountering her peers, encountering teachers, counselors, and just people in her neighborhood. And ultimately, she committed suicide, okay? And she did. It was horrible. They showed it, and they wanted to show how horrible and terrible this can be. But this girl slit her wrist in the bathtub. And so, of course, they're showing all of this and the blood going in and just, it was just really a bad scene. And then her parents found her. But before she killed herself, she didn't write a letter. What she had done is she created cassette tapes.
13.
She had 13 cassette tapes. And there were 13 individuals who negatively impacted her. Or, hold on, or they weren't able to recognize that she needed the help that she needed, or she just felt like she was alone. Even though I think the primary guy, he was always trying to be there for her, right? In fact, he liked her, didn't he?
Yep.
And
He
he
loved her, yeah.
She's just,
But she was so...
I don't necessarily like the show, to be honest. Like,
Me neither.
it was interesting to watch, but there are certain things on there that I was like, this is straight BS. For the fact of the main character who loved her
There.
was antisocial. He didn't like, he knew everybody because he'd been there, you know, the whole time. He'd been in the same little town. But he wasn't friends really with anybody. He wasn't going to parties. He was antisocial. So she made him one of the reasons, and his reason was, you couldn't love me while I was alive. I did love you, but every time you came to me with something, if I hesitated, you lost your stuff. So I'm like, so either you need to stop being a freaking emotional hormone ass little chick and let me talk, listen, and understand how I'm feeling. Stop focusing on yourself. She was very self-centered, which is probably the reason she actually killed herself, is because she's self-centered. If you really think about it. Because the things that these people were doing to her, you know, like, I get it, they're horrible things to do to a person, but these people are hurting as well for some reason. You know, there's something going on in their lives, and it's like, if you're making these tapes and you know all these things, then you should dig deeper. But no, you care about yourself, so you're going to do something to harm every single person in your life, including your parents, who did nothing to you except for bringing you life. So I'm like, you're stupid, and I don't like you, to be honest. Hannah Baker, stay dead, please. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but that was stupid. I really do not like the show. There are a lot of people at my school that did not need to see that whatsoever. I'm sorry.
And why do you say that?
Because it's like, that made it, okay, yeah, it looked horrible,
okay.
but it's still, exactly, they made it okay.
They made
And
it
they glamorized
okay
it.
to be like, oh, I can make 13
There's
cassette
a-
tapes
yeah,
and
there's a-
charge people
right.
with. How are you going to charge anybody with anything?
Exactly.
You're not God. I'm sorry. You're not going to charge me with anything. I'm sorry. If I'd have got a cassette tape, I'm like, oh, well, you still dead, then.
So here's now this is very interesting. The position that my children, these millennials, are taking on watching that. One who has had struggles with suicidal ideation, and one who may have just hated himself for a while for whatever reasons and circumstances. But neither one of them made the choice or decision to end their life.
Because
It's
they
just
understand
really
the
interesting
effects.
how they are, the position that they're taking on this. So what I wanted to do, Jonathan brought up to me today also the story of the young girl who was 17, and I guess she was in a suicide pact with her boyfriend or something like that, and she was text messaging him and encouraging him to kill himself. And basically, I guess maybe they agreed that they were both going to do it. And so the guy actually killed himself, and she didn't. Now, this is real life, okay? This is not a television show. This is actual real life. And so she just recently got charged and was given 20 years in prison for involuntary manslaughter based on her participation or her influence in this quote-unquote, I guess, supposed suicide pact.
Is it really involuntary though?
Well,
Yeah,
she didn't personally
I
kill
know
him.
she didn't personally
That's
kill
why
him.
That's why
but
it's voluntary. You have to do something to somebody physically to make it either murder or voluntary.
That's a dumb.
That's
If
technically-
someone is coming up to you every day and saying, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself, and you actually
But
do
that's
it.
like the devil coming up to you saying you need to do this. It's all influence. It's still your choice to do it.
I know it's still your choice, but
She
if you're
does not
saying,
have anything to do with
my
it.
thing is, but you're telling me, if you kill yourself, I'm gonna kill myself. That's like a deal.
They were doing
Yeah, but
they
it's
were doing a
stupid.
Romeo and
Trust
Juliet
people.
thing, and she was the Juliet that did not
Yeah.
do what she was supposed to.
My thing is, I don't trust people enough to go through with anything. I don't care what you're telling me you're gonna
Yeah.
That's
If
not
anything,
what
we're
I'm
gonna do it
like,
together.
That's what I'm saying.
Take
I'm
the
like,
pill.
Let's do it together. If that was the real case, you ain't about to tell me.
Hashtag Hunger
I'm
Games.
sorry, I'm too strong enough for somebody to tell me that I need to be doing something.
Yeah.
Now,
But
I
that
have done a
obviously
real
also
good job. Hold on. I have done a real good job because I'm going to read you guys something that I'm not sure. Yakira may have read it before. I'm sure Jonathan didn't read it or hasn't read it, but it was a poem that I wrote when I was 15. And I also experienced and suffered suicidal ideation. In fact, it went even a little further than that. And I'll read. You guys got to read the book. I'm telling you, you better read the book.
Sure I've read most of your poems.
You probably read this, but this particular poem is called My Ocean. And I'm going to read it because it's just very interesting to me, the position that my kids are taking, despite the fact that they've had problems. You know, everybody has a problem, that they have felt that they're not worthy, you know, that they're not good enough. Yakira felt sometimes that it's better off that she dies, you know, and that's a very real thing. I will say this, in this household, and while we're on, this is True Confessions, when we are live, we are very much ourselves. We are very authentic, and this is all true. At the same time, we don't look like what we're going through. Understand that. We absolutely do not look like what we are actually going through. And it's not because we are hiding or wearing masks or any of that, because my mask's been off, you know, and it's really off, it's all the way off in the book. But that's not what's going on. I think what it is we have a confidence and we have a faith, and there's a process daily where we just believe that this is going to work out. This is going to work in my favor. I deserve to be happy. I deserve life. I am special. I'm an individual who has a purpose, okay? And that's the kind of discussion and the kind of movement and operation that we actually have in this house. And so if we were to go through the litany of things that are going on and have been going on, you would just be amazed. Just as some of you will be amazed when you read my story. You will never believe that the person that talks to you every week is the same person who wrote this story. Now, I'm going to read you, you might not believe this one either. So I'm going to read you guys a poem, and then I'm going to ask my kids what they think about this poem. I wrote this in 1982, and so I was 15 years old, probably getting ready to turn 16, but somewhere around there, 15, 16. It's called My Ocean. It says, you say life is like an ocean, colorful, bright, and clean. However, the life I live is dark and very green. It's ugly, it's harsh, and yes, very, very mean. My ocean always fights me with its many dangers and fears. Please, don't let it bite me. It hurts. I am in tears. As I violently struggle to survive, I get hit by another wave. Oh, please, I must keep fighting, or this ocean will be my grave. I don't want to be dead, but in my ocean there is no shore. I just want to love and be happy. I ask for nothing more. Now, that is the poem that I wrote when I was 15. And just some of the key points there that I want to bring out is where it talks about, you know, the life I live is harsh, it's ugly, it's very, very mean. That, in my opinion, was because of things that happened to me, and then how I processed things that were happening to me, and then also how I internalized things myself and how I began to process even some of the things that were done to me. Some of the places where I should not have any blame and definitely no shame, I had all of that. I had blame and shame. So just to hear this, I don't think you've ever read this poem, John. What are your thoughts when you hear that? And just generally first, and then thinking about, wow, my mom wrote that at 15. What are your thoughts?
It's kind of creepy. I say that because, creepy enough, I actually wrote almost the same thing when I was 16. So,
like I was turning 16, it was around there.
That's why I say it's kind of creepy. There's been a few times I've written, I should say, some poems, or I have written even short stories, and I put hints in certain characters and things like that, and it's just creepy because I said almost the exact same thing. So.
And here's the craziest part about it: my parents would not have agreed or understood that the way I see my life is that it's harsh. I hope that was your breeds. That it was harsh, that it was ugly, and that it was very mean. Because even my parents were unaware of some of the things that I was going through and the things that I was dealing with. My siblings were unaware, okay? In fact, my siblings just recently read my submission in the book just before the book came out. I sent it to them. And I am positive that there are things in that book, even though we grew up in the same house and we are blood sister and brother who were raised by the same parents, I am confident 100% that some of that they didn't know. And I also believe that if some of it they did know, there would have been a different kind of interaction with us and with my parents, okay? Which was a very good relationship. We had a very, very good relationship with my parents. I have a very, very good relationship with Jonathan and Yakira.
Now.
So, well, with Yakira it was a little turbulent for a while, but with Jonathan it's never really been turbulent. It has been, he felt that he needed to be perfect. So what's interesting about it for me is that if I had not read Jonathan's stories, I wouldn't have known that he feels to an extent that the life he is going through at that time was harsh. Everybody loved Jonathan. Everybody has always loved Jonathan. Jonathan has always had several friends. But here's the thing. Just because you're in a group full of people, just because you have a lot of associates, acquaintances, and people who call themselves friends, does not mean that you yourself as an individual are okay. All right? It does not mean that you are as happy as what these individuals may think you are. And this is the biggest piece, that this is why I wanted to bring this up. A lot of it really has to do with how you're processing what's going on in your world and in your mind. And I think it boils down ultimately to shame and feeling unworthy. All right?
Can I say something?
Yes.
So, this coming up, this is actually one of the reasons that this is probably the only reason that I'm actually kind of okay with 13 Reasons Why existing. And that's because, you know, they showed that she didn't talk to anybody about how she was feeling. And that is a serious thing. Like, no one knows how to communicate their actual feelings. The entire United States of America is basically fake. And that's my problem, you know. It's like we have a lot of celebrities out there who, you know, are suddenly dying and, you know, committing suicide. Well, why? Because when I look at them on TV, they're over here looking smiling and happy. So it's just like, if you guys were honest with how you guys are feeling, you might still be here today. You know, and it's really interesting to me because, you know, Robin Williams is one of my favorite actors of all time. You know, I look up to him just because he always made me laugh. And to know that he was struggling with whatever he was struggling with enough to kill himself is crazy, because that's not what you would think of someone who can bring so much joy to a bunch of other people. And that's my thing. So if you just communicate, if you go out to people and tell them how you're feeling, they might actually be able to understand you, and they might actually be able to help you and tell you something that will encourage you or inspire you. And I can even vouch for this for myself, because my mom didn't know a lot of the things that I was feeling. It's only until recently that I would start talking to her a lot more. And it's just like, if I didn't show certain signals and give certain signs, you know, she still might not know today that, you know, there's a time that I wanted to jump off of a roof, you know? So it's just like, she, in the show, she didn't tell anybody anything. She just did it. And her parents just found her there. But it's like if she had talked to her parents, they might have been more understanding than she thinks, and they might have done something about it. You know, I feel like if teens could talk, because we have big mouths, but we don't know how to use them, when to use them. If teens could talk, there would be a lot less suicides in the teen community.
There'd be a lot less conflict.
Dude, yes, like honestly, but I don't know why it's so wrong to not be okay. Like,
it's okay not to be okay.
and people say that all the time, but it's like no one actually takes that in, and no one actually is like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you I'm not okay and I need help. Why can't we need help? Like, what is up with that? What's up with that thing in society? Everybody has to be perfect. Everybody has to be happy. If I'm honest with myself, if I really think about it, I don't think certain famous people are happy with themselves at all, even though they give this presentation that their lives are perfect. Because, I'm sorry, there's too many people just dying. Like, it's really weird. So, if y'all can answer that question for me, why are we not able to talk? Why are we not able to communicate that we're not okay? Like, I'm really not understanding that. Because I am perfectly fine at this point. Yes, it took some time, but I am perfectly fine with going to my mom and saying, hey, I'm not feeling good. Like, there's something going on with me mentally. I'm off. And she'll be like, all right, well, what's going on? You know? So.
I think some parents, some kids don't necessarily have access.
Yeah, I do know
parents.
that. There are some parents who, like, straight up are like, yeah, whatever, you deal with it yourself. But if that's the case, you find someone else. You go to a therapist. You know, you do whatever you can. It's survival. It is so unnatural to commit suicide. Do you guys understand that? Like, it is incredibly unnatural. Everything in this earth, everything on earth has a survival instinct. And to kill yourself diminishes that survival instinct. Like, when you're underwater and you're trying your hardest to stay under there for as long as you can, but all of a sudden you're like, no, I gotta come up, that's a survival instinct, because you don't want to die. So it's just like, oh, exactly. It might just be fun and it might just be a joke, but that is your survival instinct kicking in. Why do you think if you put a cat in a corner, it's going to come at you like your death itself? Exactly. Well, no, a cat would too. Cats are worse. You don't even have to put a cat in a corner. You know? It's a survival instinct. It is so unnatural to kill yourself. And that's something I've kind of gotten into the mindset of. It's just like, that is not a natural thing. And I feel like for people who do it the slow way, like when Hannah Baker slit her wrist, I feel like as soon as she did it and as soon as she started dying, she realized like this was a mistake. Because it's a survival instinct. You cannot kill yourself. It's like literally not something you're supposed to be able to do. But once you get to a certain point, it's too late now, so you're just gonna die. It's like, well.
That's interesting. It just to speak of nature in that respect. So what this means is that people who are doing this and who are experiencing this and completing a suicide have gone above and beyond. They are no longer able to even accept nature, like what is natural for them.
Which is
whatever
also,
is so painful or whatever is so devastating is much bigger. And most of the time, and this is how I feel, when I had these issues, for me, it was just, I wanted the pain to stop. I didn't want to die. Just like I wrote, I don't want to be dead. All right? I never wanted to be dead. But I was drowning. And eventually, if there's no shore, I can only tread water, I can only swim so long. And that was really the message. And thank God that I had the ability to write things down, even though maybe one or two of my siblings have read this, but I'm sure my parents never read it because I probably never shared it with my parents. Some of it was some things that I've written, I wrote after my mother died, and you know, some things I've shared with my dad, but not this stuff. So what's interesting is when I wrote the book, when I put in my submission for Lessons Beneath the Mask, From Pain to Promise, I legitimately chronicled and took whoever the reader is, on a journey from my life at about 2 years old, from 2 years old up to about 25, maybe 26. So the first half of my life chronicled there. Now, my godbrother Ruel, it's very interesting. When he talks about my story, he says he feels so bad because he's known me most of my life, okay? He's been around me most of my life, but he felt that it was problematic that he didn't see this, he didn't know this. And when he was reading my story, as I was submitting it, it was kind of horrifying for him, okay? And
I think it's horrifying for a lot of people who know you.
well, okay, so Yakira read my story. What happened when you read the story? Well, let me ask you this. How did you think about your mom? What were your thoughts before you read the story? And then once you read the story, what happened?
Honestly,
Hey, Sierra.
before I read the story, like, I just felt like my mom and I didn't have, like, much to talk about. Like, you know, my everyday life, yeah, we have stuff to talk about, but certain other things, I was just like, yeah, probably not. But now that after I read her story, I was like, yeah, I need to tell her some things. Because there's some things she needs to know. But, yeah, it just kind of helped me understand a little bit of, you know, why she interacts with me the way she interacts with me. On a certain level. But, yeah. I was just like, wow, it's crazy.
Was it a believable story? Like, do you see the mom that you know as your mom as the person that you were reading about in that story?
No, yeah.
You could? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because it honestly, kind of clicked with me on certain things. Like, I was just like, okay, so this is why this, and this
So
is
stuff started making
yeah.
sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
There was a point in time where Yakira felt like she couldn't relate to me and that I would understand nothing about her. Okay? And so what happened was, when she was going, I told you all that she had been going through these episodes 12 weeks before her graduation, where she was ready to quit and she was just struggling and she cried every day. And, you know, she just was really having a hard time. And she didn't feel like I was understanding her. Like, Mom, you don't understand. Even though she didn't say those words, Mom, you just don't understand. Everything about her presentation, her behavior, her movement, her shutting down.
It was more like, I don't understand why you're reacting the way you are. Because, like, I mean, when I'm saying I want to quit school, it's a natural reaction to say, no, you shouldn't quit school. But, you know, there are certain other things that I was doing, and I'm like, I don't get why you're reacting this way. Like, there's times where she just gets super frustrated, and I'm like, why? Like, I really didn't get it, but now I do. So it was just an understanding thing.
Do you know, and I believe this to be true, I'm very honest with my kids. We sit here and talk to you guys every week, right? So we gotta have some kind of understanding. But there's a lot of times as a parent that the reason we're frustrated, we're not frustrated with you. Yeah. For me, I'm frustrated with myself because I can't figure out the puzzle. I don't have I'm used to figuring stuff out, y'all. I'm used to problem solving, okay? But with Yakira, it was like I just couldn't find the answer. I couldn't make it right. I couldn't make it work for her. I couldn't seem to really penetrate some of the negativity that was oppressing her, because it really was oppression. She was underneath these things, okay, and these emotions. And I totally understood what that was like. And so it frustrated me probably more than what you understand, because I'm like, wait a minute, I've been here. How come I can't reach her? Yeah. And at the end of the day, I think some of it had to do with her understanding of me and lack of trust of how I would respond to her. I think that's what happens with everyone who keeps stuff to themselves. They don't want to share it because there is fear there. they fear the response, the backlash.
Yeah.
All right? And that's even why some
Sometimes.
people put on their masks.
Sometimes. For me, it's never been that way. Because me and Kira are completely opposite on that. I don't have to read the book because I've already knew my mom. So for me, it was like I already knew. My problem is
He might not know everything. That's
I know, and I knew enough to know that I could come to her and talk to her. The problem is, I was also the protector, so I wouldn't tell her stuff because I felt it was protecting her. So sometimes it's not necessarily fear, it's I'm the protector. I have to be the one to protect you. So I'm not going to let you know this so I can deal with it and protect you. And if you don't know it and I already finished it, it's all good to go. So
Doesn't that
sometimes...
suck?
you
Jonathan was a kid, you guys.
You know,
That is so much. Okay, so I said Happy Father's Day to the fathers last Sunday. Was it last Sunday? Okay, I'm losing time. Y'all know I lose time sometimes. Last Sunday, and I acknowledge and honor the fathers still today. The ones who are there. And sometimes the father figure is not your biological father. Some of you all are professional fathers. Alton is what I would call a professional father. He is a single father. Okay, I hope I didn't tell your business, Alton. But I feel like I could say that just because of how much you impart into your son. And I have such high respect for how he deals with his son and how he tries to be supportive of his son. That's my friend Alton. I hope I didn't overstep. Please forgive me if I did. But the fact of the matter is that in seeing that, you know, that's a professional father. That's his full-time job on top of everything else he does, okay? And then we have some stand-in fathers who really don't get much acknowledgement at all, but they're the ones who are there influencing and positively supporting, you know, your children oftentimes, and a lot of times that goes unnoticed. But the biggest problem that I will have after acknowledging all the wonderful, all the good, so that means we're not talking about y'all when I make this statement. The fathers who are not there, but who are alive, I have a problem. I have so much of a problem that it's a challenge for me every day. Now, did I mind being a single mom? Not necessarily. It wasn't so much that I minded, but the things that I had to do, all of that wasn't my responsibility. And so for my friend, I'll say the same thing. Some of the things you have to do, that's not your responsibility. Parents, male, female, parents are parents. Yes, you're both responsible for your children, but there are some things that the mother can care and okay, like breastfeeding. Let me just make it simple. The father cannot breastfeed. That's not his responsibility, okay? And as we know, breastfeeding gives the baby the most success at being healthy and just having certain antibodies and protection against certain illnesses, okay? So not to say that if you didn't breastfeed or that your babies had Similac or whatever, Enfamil for mine because they were so daggone lactose intolerant, but it doesn't mean that you are less than. But I was just making the point that some things are not the mom's responsibility and some things are not the dad's responsibility. But when you are a single parent, whether you're male or female, you have to take care of all of it, okay? And my issue is the self-centeredness and the narcissism of the man who refuses to cater, take care of, impart love, and show love. You can tell me all day, I love you, I love you, I love you. But your actions are going to prove it. All right? I don't care what anybody says anymore. This has been a long time that I didn't care. Okay? But I don't think my kids care either. Because actions have told them what's real. If you say I love you, love is an action word. Okay? There's going to be something behind that. You can't say I love you and dog you. That's an oxymoron.
Yeah, that's a great way to confuse a child.
Okay? And for some people, pain is love because they have abusive parents. And that abusive parent is saying that they love them, but they steadily beating them over the head. Okay? Or whatever they're doing, whether it's verbal, physical, or whatever. So some people, some children, like you said, it's a way to confuse a kid. They have a whole warped understanding of what's going on and of love and life and all of that stuff. So
yeah, because if you've never experienced real love, how would you know what love is? You know, it's like, okay, this is what you're calling love, and this isn't. It doesn't feel good. So this is what it is. You know,
when it comes to fathers, and even me choosing male companions, I always look, and the adage is true. Girls kind of look to their father and try to look for their father to an extent, some of the characteristics that male, your father, has in your companions. And guys, boys, will also look for certain characteristics of their mom, okay? And I don't know whether they're good parent or not. I really don't. I think it's something that's just kind of innate because you're familiar. It's a familiar comfort zone, okay? And for some people, it's an uncomfortable comfort zone. But I will say, for me, my dad was such he still is. He is this amazing individual that far supersedes the average male and even some exceptional males. My dad is so above average, so above exceptional. What's above exceptional? Sobresaliente, something crazy like that, you know? He is so far up there. But he was good looking and very intelligent, but he's kind. So where I got hung up, this is really interesting. I am attracted to very intelligent men, period. And if you're a good-looking, intelligent man, I'm probably pretty much already done before we got started, okay? Because I fall into that trap. What has happened, and I was just sharing this with my kids yesterday, I said, you know, this is my fault that there's certain men in my life, they have all been intelligent. They have all been good looking, all right? But they're all freaking narcissistic. They are self-centered.
How does she say in Major Pain, you're a narcissistic asshole?
Right. I mean, just totally. And, you know, I was telling Jonathan, you know, like with their fathers, you know, I was like, you know what? There's not anything that's all bad. Because if these men were all bad, I would have been with them. So there was something and some reason that I was with them. And one of them that I actually ended up marrying. And that's kind of a story in and of itself. That'll be in the second part of how that happened. But anyway, you know, I said, you know what? The only thing that's common, and I brought up 3 men. I brought up their dads and someone that I was involved with more recently. I said, the only common thread with these 3 men is me. All right? That's the only thing that they have in common. Me. And so I was like, then, if that, then this is on me. I am selecting the wrong individuals. It's all my fault. Now, it's not my fault that you're a narcissistic asshole, but it's my fault that I brought you in my sphere. And it's my fault that I had children with you and you were a narcissistic asshole. Because there's no way that my child had a chance. All right? And even in the other relationships that I've been in, now all of them aren't this, but the majority of the ones that I was all of the ones that I was talking to them about, every last one of them, extremely good looking, extremely intelligent, and freaking self-centered is all get out. It is all about them. And it's so funny because I wrote another poem when I was in my 20s. I was working with Department of Youth Services the Ohio Department of Youth Services. And there was, now I never really liked intermingling work with pleasure, but there was, I think he was like a unit manager, but he was from a different city. So he worked with Department of Youth Services, but he wasn't from my town. And I was so head over heels for this guy. His name was Miles. I can't remember if that's his first name or his last name. It shows you how important he was, right? But anyway, I wrote a poem to Miles, and it was called It's All About You. I might have it in here, but it's called It's All About You. And the funny thing is, he took the bad boy as a compliment. Hold on, I do have it. I'm going to read this, guys. It's called It's All About You.
We've gotten really off topic.
No, we're not. It's going to go back. It's coming back because I'm talking about the shame piece. It's going to come back. So I wrote, It's all about you. You wake up in the morning and the sun is shining. You peek out your window and say, thanks, sun. You're right on time and in position. You go to bathe in the freshwater streams. Springs of showering billows cascade over the Rocky Mountains' edge. Rising, rinsing and rejuvenating you. This is typed in a weird way. Rinsing and rejuvenating you in preparation for the upcoming day's events. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You step out of the stream and stretch. Pearls of water drip off your body, appearing as glitter, falling away as it dries. You look at the mountain and say, thanks, I needed that. Now I can more effectively begin my day. You approach a fruit tree in full bloom at harvest time. You ask of the tree, is my breakfast ripe and fresh? Thanks, I knew you would come through for me. You begin your journey down into the valley. Now this is going to be kind of hard because this is over a bear's head. As you walk, you think to yourself, what can I find to amuse myself today? A dog, a cat, a book, a movie, a woman? Maybe. You resign with a smile as you say to yourself, well, who really cares? The world is mine anyway. Now, anybody who can actually read through what I just said there, if that's not narcissistic, a narcissistic asshole at that, but he was so fine, y'all. Oh my gosh. He was beautiful. He was really pretty.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
But then, okay, so I even put down there, I said, this is dedicated to the egocentric spoiled brattiness of a man named Miles. And I put a note to it, and he loved this poem.
That's so bad.
He loved this. Does anybody understand what I just wrote when I read? I mean, it was hard for me to read it because, like I said, it's typed in a real weird thing I was doing back in the day. This was back in '96, so this has been quite a while ago. And Jonathan was actually born when this was going on. He was alive, okay? So, yeah, there is a pattern. I mean, it's just been going back that far. Well, going back even further, because Jonathan was here, and his dad has a lot of great qualities, guys. I'm not saying that he doesn't. What I'm saying is that Jonathan has not had the opportunity to experience the majority of his greatness. Let's put it that way. Yakira hasn't had any opportunity at all, really, to experience any greatness with her father. And she's very candid about that, On Father's Day, she calls her godfather, my best friend Normie. Both Jonathan and Yakira at one point in time saw Norm as their father. That was their father figure. Yakira still does. And Norm is the only one that I can say I went back that far that is the closest to my dad. and I'd probably say Alton. Now, Alton is a little spicier than my dad. And Alton is just my great friend. This is the one I was talking about. He's a good friend. He's a little spicier than my dad is. But he's probably, along with Normie, the closest that I could see toward someone that personifies what my idea of my father is. And that's a huge compliment, by the way, because y'all know I'm a daddy's girl. So my point was in expressing to them that the commonality in these individuals was me, and that I made poor choices. I ended up then having them in a circumstance and in a situation. They never had a chance. And even in that, I owned a lot of that. And I owned it subconsciously early on. I began to understand it and accept it later on. But the reason I say I owned it subconsciously was because a lot of times I try to overcompensate. And so while I was very strict with Jonathan, Jonathan was with me everywhere we went. I carried Jonathan freaking on my back till he was 5. When I couldn't carry him no longer in the front, I put that boy on my back. And we went everywhere together. He didn't even have to walk. Little brat. This is how spoiled and overcompensated I was for Jonathan. He didn't even have to walk. But I do remember one time it made me sad that when he was trying to learn how to ride a 2-wheel bike, I was so hard on him. And he's like, Mom, I'm trying. And he was scared to fall. And I just remember just like, come on, Jonathan, just do it. You can do this. Now, for those of you who read the book, you will understand why I didn't even realize that until just this second. Read the book. There is a straight correlation to what I just told Jonathan at that time. And I didn't even think about it until just now. Wow. So I just learned something else about myself. That a lot of our past does influence our present. It doesn't necessarily dictate it 100%, but it definitely influences our present. Okay?
Well, of course, because if you learn something's dangerous, like when kids learn that, if you touch the top of the stove while it's on, it's going to hurt, that's going to influence you in the future. Make sure you don't touch the top of the stove when it's on. Of course, our past is going to influence it because it's knowledge. So if you have more knowledge, you have more understanding, which is going to allow you to make certain choices. I'm sure if certain people had known that Trump was going to be the way he is, they wouldn't have put him in.
He's the same way he was.
I know. But I didn't know about him until he decided to become president. I didn't know who he was.
Oh.
So it's just like if we had known, like some of the racist people who thought, oh, I'll just put him in there so it's okay for me to do what I do. But now your husband's stuck out of the country because of the whole plane thing that he was doing. People can't come into the country. Now they're saying I'm that way. Yeah, I don't know what it was. I can't remember what it was, but they're like, it was some sort of ban. Yeah. And so it's like, my husband is a soldier of the United States and he's stuck outside of the country. He should be back by now. This is all thanks to Trump. Well, you put him in there, so it's technically all thanks to you, So it's just like, if we had known if we had known things that we know now, I'm sure things would be different. That's what I'm saying. I hope so. I would hope so. Redo. Let's see.
Well, my only comment to that is that there are things in the works and things happening that it may appear that we don't have control over, but we actually have more control than what we want to accept and acknowledge. So I did not vote for Donald Trump, and I'm not ashamed or scared to say that I did not vote for him. But, well, I mean, right. I usually don't talk about politics at all. I leave that to Alton. I leave all of that to him because he's very astute in that regard. But I didn't vote for him because I felt that I did not agree with, identify with, or could even support the things that he was saying and many of the things more that he was doing. Some of what he was saying,
some of the stuff he
but
was saying.
a lot more of it was what he was doing. And the total disregard and lack of regard for President Obama in his whole 8 years. And to say that, quote unquote, a person, when he's talking about Hillary, where they're campaigning on Fox News and supporting him, saying, well, a person who is under federal investigation should never be president. If they are, they should be impeached. Y'all want to keep repeating that right now? How about it? Y'all still believe that? Yeah. It was fine when you were talking about Hillary. But now you're president of the United States. He's not my president, y'all. He is the president of these United States. There's a whole lot of stuff about this country that's not mine. He's one of them, all right? And it is what it is, though. I live here. I'm not going to say I wouldn't choose to live anywhere else because I'm actually looking to go somewhere else eventually. But I got stuff to do before I depart. So I'm not going to lie and say that I would never want to leave. That's not true. I plan to leave, actually. So, it's cool. I'm going to live where there's water and, jungle and stuff like that. You're like, jungle? Yeah, I'm going way over out somewhere. So, long story short, the only thing I can say about that are that there are many things that we do have more control over than we assert and utilize. We have certain liberties and freedoms and powers right now. We don't know how long we're going to have them, but right now we have things that we can do to make this whole situation livable and better, I think. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's all doom and gloom because he is the president of the United States. Now, I will say that. I think the man is crazy, and he's really strange. Like, the word I really want to use is probably not appropriate, so I'm not going to use that word right now. I'm being very generous with crazy and strange, because that's really not the words that I want to use.
He's got issues.
And we all have issues, but we're not all trying to be the president of the United States either. And so, yeah, moving right along. Let's get on that. Yeah, Yakira's talking about President Trump.
I wasn't trying to keep it there, but I was saying if we knew what we knew now,
all right,
things would be good.
Hey, DJ and Joelle, how's it going? Love you guys too. Yeah, so at the end of the day, we were watching the 13 Reasons. The girl that we were talking about, did I mention what happened with her, what she did?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I did talk about that. Okay. No, not in 13 Reasons. The one who got the 20 years. Did I mention that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did mention the young lady who got the 20 years. Guys, you got to forgive me. My memory is challenged, and sometimes I lose time, but I also lose. I don't necessarily lose track of what I'm saying, but I'll forget. Yeah, I forget some stuff, and it actually has to do with this freaking medication that I'm on. Yeah. So, it is what it is. And there was one that I had to take that was much worse. I was so absent-minded, it was scary. I was losing minutes and time, like immediately. Like as soon as I said, okay, we're going to go do this, I'm going the other way. And the kid's like, Mom, what are you doing?
She did that just recently. I went to pick up my check and my tips. And she's like, oh yeah, you got to go to the bank. And I'm like, yeah. She was the one who told me I'm going to the bank. And so we pick up my check and she's on my way home. I'm like, where are you going? I'm like, she's like, oh, we're going to the bank, aren't we? I'm like, you're the one who said, like, you told me what I'm doing. So, yeah, she's a little special right now.
Yeah.
You mainly see it, though, when she's driving. Like, when she's going from one place to the next, like, she'll be going from the store to something else, to the gas station or something like that. She'll straight up forget the gas station, go home, like, you realize you're on E, right, Mom? Like, you probably didn't want to go home this time.
Your light is on. The low fuel disease belongs to your vehicle right now. Yeah, it's very strange, but I have such wonderful, Millennials. And I just found out Skylar is not a millennial.
Neither am I.
And neither is Yakira. Yakira officially is not a millennial.
I'm a centennial, guys.
She and Skylar are known as centennials.
Are you sure Sky's a centennial?
Skylar, yeah, anybody right now, it's anyone who's born after that particular date that they cut off for the millennials. They're either called Generation Z or I generation, the I generation, or centennials.
Is the I generation
Like, I think it's
when
iPhone.
it came out for iPhone?
Yeah, I think it's the I generation. So they call them Generation Z, they call them iGen, it's called iGen, or Centennials. And so that's the names that you guys have. I did some research and found that out. So I've been calling Yakira and Jonathan both the millennials. She could be a millennial. She just missed it, just by like a couple years. You missed it by a couple years.
Yeah. John got in by like a couple years.
Yeah, John slid in
It
by
was
2 or 3
95,
years.
wasn't
Yeah,
it?
he slid in by about 2
Yeah, so I was missed by 4 years. John got in by 2 years.
Yeah. So otherwise I would have all centennials. But yeah. Anyway, we just wanted to talk about that stuff because this is my conclusion of the matter. My kids had some strong feelings and thoughts and ideas, some things that I didn't know. I wasn't aware that they feel certain ways about suicide and individuals who have feel like they are pushed in that direction. My thought about it is not consistent with their thought at all. And so this is my thing to them. Then y'all better be living till you die naturally, daggone.
Okay, so this
Y'all
is
got
my
all
thing.
these strange feelings and strong emotions and all this. Y'all done yakety yak and yak and how selfish these people are. I better not come home finding you swinging off a chandelier
No,
the wrong
my
way.
thing is just
So
like,
why are we still here? If that was the case, we'd have been gone a long time.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to
That's what
say.
and so my thing is just like, I've learned, there were times where I was just really bad, and that was actually before Skylar was born. So it's just like, I'm positive God is, you're on his time, to be honest, because...
Thank you, John.
I have issues with Nats. I'm sorry.
No, I saw it, but it's just, he's like, he's just angry.
That pissed me off.
No, but it's obvious that God just puts things in your life. But I also believe that He made sure I went through the things I went through, basically since I started school, since kindergarten, so that because I am an actor and I'm really positive on the fact that I'm going to make it and I'm going to be big, He wanted to make sure that once I get big that I have a story. Because, a lot of actors do have stories, but not the amount that tell their story and the amount that don't is kind of like something like, well, dang, Like the Keanu Reeves story. I did not know half the things that, he's gone through because he doesn't really present it. It's not something you talk about, yes. But it's just like there are so many people who go through things like that and that could really, use some inspiration or, something to know that, yes, you will survive this, And so that's kind of...
Robert Downey Jr.
Why would him?
That man was in prison. He used drugs, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, well, yeah, I knew that.
Well, but what you're just saying right there, excuse me, what you're saying is actually the whole purpose behind the lessons beneath the mask from pain to promise is that the fact of the matter is that oftentimes people put on a mask, they're wearing that mask for so long because of shame, fear, or whatever, lack of acceptance, that they actually create what's called is a mask identity. So now they have become the personification of their mask in public or in certain settings. But that's not the real them. It's not the authentic, original them. I put a post up the other day speaking of your authentic, original you. The best you is the original you, okay? In other words, the one that didn't get tainted, the one that didn't feel ashamed, the one that didn't feel like they didn't measure up, the one that's not trying to fake the funk. That's the most original and best you. And that's where we have to get back to. And I think Alton, he clearly stated that he doesn't have any shame at all. And
That's crazy. That's cool though.
it is. But you know what? At this stage in the game, everything that I was ashamed of, everything that kept me in bondage for the amount of years that it kept me in bondage, everything that almost killed me is in that book. And so I'm transparent. I'm good. And there's no shame that can come to me at this point because I've told it all.
Yeah.
And guess what? I lived. Now, I'm going to say this. There is a new online book club for Lessons Beneath the Mask. There's a live stream that's going to be facilitated most of the time by Ruel Barksdale, and you can come on and discuss the book and different topics and ask questions. We had the first one last Thursday. It'll be Thursdays, 6 p.m. I think Eastern time and 3 p.m. Pacific time. But as he was talking about as he was talking about just some of the lessons that were learned in there, I was thinking about the fact that the truth of the matter really is everything that I would have ever been concerned about for someone to find out about me is in that book. And it was a challenging book for me to write. It took me 2 years to submit my final written story. 2 years. And
yeah, she always kept saying, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna finish writing this book," and I'm like, "Mom, you realize?"
Just like I keep saying, I'm gonna go fold my laundry on my bed right now. Yeah, it's been 2 days now. But I'm getting to it. I'm gonna fold that laundry on my bed and put it away.
That was us back in the day. We would got beaten.
You would not have got a beaten.
Yeah, we would.
You
Well,
can't.
we would have
No.
gotten an earful.
Yeah, you would just
We
got
got
fussed
earful,
at.
and then after a while, you would have got a beating.
You didn't get
Especially
a
if you
beating.
didn't listen.
If you're not listening is one thing, but you didn't get a beating for.
I almost got a beating for.
That's because my room wasn't dirty. I was a clean kid. I don't know what you talking about.
Well,
I
when you
learned.
really, yeah, you learned. I was gonna say when you were young, you know, when you had the little car bed and everything. And
I'm saying
you
I
had
learned
the-
quick.
a car bed?
Yeah, Jonathan. I'm telling you, Jonathan was spoiled. He was ridiculous.
I also learned very
All I
quickly
ever
what the game
wanted was a canopy.
I learned very quickly
Well,
what
you
the
had the
game
pretty
was,
pink
too.
room.
I had the pink one, but pink wasn't my favorite color.
Yeah, I didn't know. Blue was. Who would have thought? And pink is his. Or one of them,
Well,
anyway.
one of them. My
No,
favorite
I
color.
almost got a beating for the freaking dishes.
Huh?
I almost got a beating for the dishes.
You almost did, but there was more behind that. There was a little bit more behind it.
Yeah, Mom still doesn't like the way I do dishes, but I'm like, I'm sorry. I refuse to fill the sink up with water and put my hand in a sink where there's nasty wet food. That the
There shouldn't be
visual.
food in there.
Yeah, but y'all don't always rinse out your cups and stuff.
That's why I said wash your own damn.
Wash your own stuff. Right. We are all grown adults.
I've always said that since
always said what?
Since the chore was given to me. Since they were all like, "Yeah, you do the dishes." I was like, "Why doesn't everybody else do their own dishes?" No one to listen to
I
me
only
on
use
that.
one bowl.
Now you didn't always used to
I
do
only
that.
just use one bowl.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, we did. Because there's only one bowl that we needed to do.
I'd say since you were
All I
like
eat was cereal.
since you're like 14, maybe.
All right, so we're going into this. We done really going off now. They talking about cereal bowls and cleaning.
Oh, but what I wanted to say, because what Mom was talking about was, masks and stuff. I've really learned, thanks to really crappy people, not to try to hide stuff. Like I've learned big stuff. Like Skylar, when I first had her, 8th grade. I went straight into 8th grade after I had her. I wasn't telling people, yeah, I'm a mom. Like I kind of just like I kept it to myself. And, that was easier because she's an infant, so it's like she's not, running around with me and calling me mommy. But, I thought I had a friend, and we were on the cheer team together. So she lived near my neighborhood, so, I got acquainted with her, and I thought, we were close and I could trust her. And so I gave her information about Skylar in confidence that she wouldn't go around telling the entire cheer team my business. But, it ended up coming out that, people are coming up to me telling me I have a kid and all this other stuff. And I'm like, how did you guys even hear about this. First of all, I don't talk about my child, and second of all, I've only told one person, and it's not that I was, ashamed of Skylar or, there were no kind of feelings like that. Like, I wasn't necessarily intentionally hiding her. No, it wasn't even there was a fear. I wasn't necessarily hiding her, but it's just like, it's none of your guys' business.
It's not necessarily fear for her, it's a fear of the judgment of others.
No, I didn't even care about that. That was my thing, though. It's just like, it's none of your business, so it's just like, why does it matter in the first place? But, I told her, because Skylar had been around me enough to where she'd seen her, and I'm like, if someone's like, oh, that's your baby sister, at that point, I'm not going to say yeah, because she's not my baby sister, she's my child. So that was another thing. It's like, I wasn't afraid to be judged, and there was nothing like that.
If someone had already gotten judged.
Exactly.
The whole neighborhood.
So it's just like, if someone had come up to me and be like, oh, is this your baby sister? Of course I'd have said no, especially at that time. But no one was asking me that because it's not common for a freshman to have a 1-year-old, So, when it came out and the entire cheer team knows and a few other people on the outside are coming up to me saying, oh, you have a kid, I'm like, well, there's no point in, not talking about it in the first place. There's no point in going out or not going out and saying, hey, I have a kid when I meet new people, just because it's like people that I know that also know this other person that I just might have met are most likely going to tell them that. When my sophomore year, I went back to a school that 2 different schools had known me from. It was my 5th grade school and my 6th grade school. And so most of the people in 6th grade had known that I had gotten pregnant, which is why I disappeared, So once I went back, I had a friend from 6th grade, and, I hung out with her, and like the first day that I met her friends, after I left the room, I come back, and she's gone. They're telling me, oh, you have a kid? And I'm like, well, dang, I was gone for 5 minutes. Like,
that's I think we're a little bit different. I think that's why sometimes people approach things differently with that, because I used to be the overindulger. There wasn't something you could tell me that I didn't already tell myself. And that's where it was a protection for myself. You weren't ever going to catch me off guard with some information that I didn't know about myself, because 9 times out of 10 I already told it. So that's why I said
you actually followed
weird.
my leads on that.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. That's why I'm like, it's a little off for me for that, because for me, if I had the kid, I'm already going to let you know that, because I'm not having anybody coming up to me trying to tell me my business.
Well, but you're also a guy, so it's different, It's just like...
Yes and no, but I mean, that's the same thing as protection. I'm going to protect myself first.
What is that? How is that a protection, though? If I come up to you...
myself from anybody.
I'm going to tell you how it's a protection. And it's more protection. You can call it to yourself, but for me specifically, I always protected my parents. I guarded them. The only thing that my dad had issues with were surprises. He don't like surprise parties. He don't like nothing surprise. Jonathan doesn't really like surprises either. So my thing was, I was never going to allow, especially because he was a medical doctor, a very high-standing official and cardiologist in the Navy. In fact, he had such status that when President Reagan got shot, my dad was one of the attending physicians during that time that he had his surgery. And so he had that thing going on with being a doctor and in the Navy, in the military. He was a minister and ultimately became a pastor and now a bishop. There's no way in the world that I'm going to allow someone from the outside come and tell him something about me that would cause him concern, whatever. So I always, just like I told in this book, now the funny thing is, if I did something, let me put it that way, if I did something, I would tell my dad. The interesting thing is, there were so many things that I had inside of my own head, though, that I didn't tell him, okay? And if he's read this book by now, he's probably like, what? Who? She's writing some fiction. Oh, Julia's such a great writer. Because Jonathan writes fiction. It's like, no, Pastor Pawpaw, that's the truth right there. But he would probably think it's a fiction story.
But in this case, though, in my case, I just met these people. Right. And this person had no right
That's the thing. I
tell
don't
my
trust people
business.
enough to have rights about anything.
But
That's my right.
it's not. I can't control her knowledge of me being pregnant.
Which is why I already put
there.
it out there because I can't control you.
But my
So
thing is,
I'm already put it out there, so
I
I'm
literally just met them 5 seconds ago. So it's
Dude,
kind of
in
impossible.
prison, I literally met them in a second. They knew my whole business. Trust me.
Okay, but I'm saying, John, it's different going into a new school and just going out. Hi, I'm a teen mom. How's your day going? That's so unnecessary. It just doesn't make sense.
I'm not saying it's like that. I'm saying it's a different way of approaching the situation, like especially because I'm a very talkative person and I see how other people react to certain things, especially if it's a topic that I'm already on. I'm already giving myself to them because I know there's something they want to say. I know there's something they want to say, so I'm going to give myself something and indulge for myself so that it draws up that conversation so they feel comfortable enough with me that they can tell me whatever they think is a secret, because it probably isn't a secret. My secrets really aren't secrets. So for me, I'm not about to hide something that I don't even see myself as a secret. I'm going to tell you.
I didn't see it as a secret, but it wasn't even a topic.
I'm not saying it was a secret.
You know,
I'm saying it's not something I would walk up to somebody and say, no. But I'm telling you, if it's a conversation, I'm already putting it out there. Like, oh, this is what it is.
But that's what I'm saying. I didn't even have the chance for the
But
conversation.
she told somebody, and that person told
No,
me.
No,
that
I was
person,
pregnant and she knew
No,
me.
she was from 6th grade. So.
Yeah, so she had
Remember,
already known.
She was in school with you, Kira, when she got pregnant and dropped out of 7th or left
Yeah.
7th grade.
So there's the information.
Right, but Yakira didn't tell that information.
It just
But
happened.
that's what I'm saying. She already told the information, right?
Not
Well, by
until
the
she
time
got
I had gotten, I left the room for 5 seconds and then, like,
So she told the information.
yeah, she told the information, but I'm like, first of all, I didn't tell you to tell them that information, and I really didn't talk to you
It was
about
already
it.
there.
She just knew it.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
know,
It was
so-
already there, though.
Yeah,
And that's
and
why
I
I'm
get
like,
that.
that part wouldn't catch me off guard because it was
It
already
didn't
there.
catch me off guard, but it caught the people that she told off guard, and it actually made them a little offended because it's like, why are you telling me her business?
That's good stuff right there.
Exactly, and I really appreciated them on that because it's like, it's none of your business to tell me. You have no right to tell me that. If she feels comfortable enough to talk to me about it, then that's her business, but it's not your business to tell me what she's doing. You know, so they came up to me as soon as she told her them, and they were like, yeah, I was kind of like annoyed that she even, it's like, I just met you.
See, when
you
people
know?
trying to be messy sometimes,
And that's my
it
thing.
backfires on
Yeah,
them.
I really didn't understand why she had done it in the first place. I'm like, do you think your friends aren't going to accept me because I have a kid? Or like, what was the point in that? And when I confronted her about it, she was like, oh, I was just giving them a heads up. And I'm like, but why
Some
couldn't
people
I
do
give
that.
them a heads up? Why
Some
does
people
it
do
matter?
that because they feel that they're protecting themselves. It's like they're associated with this thing and they're friends with this person. They have no idea with you. You're the mutual connection. So I'm going to protect myself a little bit and give y'all a heads up because we're friends continuously right now. She's been a friend from the past.
Well, here's
These
the
are my friends
problem.
of the present.
Right, but here's the problem. And I hear what you're saying, and that's where one of the big issues is, and this is also one of the issues why teenagers have such feel outside or left out or, rejected. The girl from theater who told her mom that the rest of these kids in theater were giving her some flack because she was friends with this other girl from the theater. And telling her she shouldn't be friends with her. And, who? Really? That has gone on so long and forever, but they put the pressure on who you should like. If you're going to be in our crowd, then you have to like this person and you have to shun this person. That's why some of us choose to walk our own path. And guess what? The most successful path, just like the best you is the most original you, the best path is the one you create. I'm not following the masses.
And that's the other thing with that situation. I don't know how she responded, but I think the people in the theater were smart enough to understand that first of all, I'm not one of y'all, never will be, and I don't want to be
As far
one of
as
y'all.
you?
Yeah, as far as me. And so it was very obvious that I kind of isolated myself from those kind of
They
people.
were so messy.
They
Oh
really
my
were.
God.
And it was
But
crazy.
so was
Oh,
their
wait,
teacher. That's the
wait.
problem.
No.
Their leader was
And I
messy.
figured that out, but what really kind of blew my mind, the first day that I was in theater that I stayed after, so there was the audition day, that was kind of one of the first days, and then the first day of rehearsal, I kind of had to stay late because I don't know what mom was doing. She was busy with something and I didn't have a ride yet. And so I was sitting in the booth and the seniors at the time are just talking mad crap to me. They're like, oh, you shouldn't talk to this person because this, and this, and you shouldn't talk to this person because this is this. And I'm like, and I made it very clear. I was like, okay, so I understand you guys have a problem with this person. This is my second day here. And I'm like, so I will not have any beef with them that has to do with y'all. I don't know them. You guys can tell me what you got to tell me, but I will not make an opinion based off of what y'all are telling me. I will make an opinion based off of what they do to me and how they act around me. And so it became very clear, and they kind of respected me on that, because after that, they didn't talk crap to me about anybody. They might have been talking crap about me, but they didn't talk crap to me about anybody else. And
someone's talking about somebody else.
They're talking about you. Exactly. And so that was also why, I would go out, like, by junior year, I had learned my lesson, and I kind of went out and was like, yeah, I have a kid, just so you guys know. And they kind of looked at me, and they're like, no, you're lying. Like, they didn't believe me.
Well, one person saw Skylar and said, is that your baby sister? And
I was like, no, that's my daughter.
Yeah. And she's like, no, it's not.
Yeah. And so, like, that happens to me a lot, because, like, they realize, okay, you're in high school. This child doesn't look like an infant. So, like, they kind of just do this weird mathematics and stuff. Yeah, and so, a lot of people will tell me I'm lying about Skylar. And I'm like, okay. Because I usually say it while I'm laughing, because people don't believe me. Like, after they're like, no, you're not, I start laughing, because I'm like, okay. I guess I'm not the mom. But it's just really...
You are not the mother.
Exactly.
Not the mama.
Exactly. It's like, I definitely don't know if I had a kid. But...
not the mama.
Yeah, but it's just like, I learned my lesson by now. And so, like, people are just like, no, there's no way. They won't believe me. And I'm like, I think you might want to reevaluate.
But you know what's funny about that is because you are volunteering the information. People are so used to a nasty, dirty, messy little world.
Yeah,
and hearing gossip because they think you're ashamed. We're getting back to the shame thing.
Yeah.
They think you should be ashamed. I'm not owning what you're ashamed of.
Exactly. And
that doesn't have anything to do with me.
Back to that. Okay, so I went to Ohio the past week and hung out with some family. And the last day I was there, my aunt and I had a conversation. And she said, you really helped me learn some things when you were younger. And she was like, she told me the story of how she came up to me and asked me if I wanted to do something. And I just blatantly said no. And so she was like all excited. She's like, oh, why not? And I'm like, because I don't want to. And she was like, you didn't say it disrespectfully. You just said it matter-of-factly. And it really helped me understand I'm not responsible for how someone else feels. It's like, yes, I might feel a certain way and you might not like it. That's your problem. That's not my problem, to be honest. You can feel however you feel, but I'm going to still tell you how it is, I don't want to do this thing. Sorry you felt excited about it, but you're not going to be doing it with me, And so she was just like, I really learned I'm not responsible for other people's feelings. Right.
You can't be excited for them, and you can't be upset for them.
Exactly. And that's another thing with the suicide thing. Okay, so I might have done something to you, and I completely understand, but how you feel based off of what I did is up to you. I'm not responsible for that. And yes, it's whatever I may have done was horrible. Whatever I may have done may have been amazing. Either way, I'm not responsible for how you feel about it.
I'm not so sure about that.
I think if someone does something bad to you, it's a little different. If someone does something good and you don't feel anything about it, once again, I'm still not responsible for it. But
I think if you come up and you punch me in my jaw or in my eye socket, you dot my eye, and I got a black eye, I'm going to feel a certain kind of way about that.
Well, yeah.
And you are responsible for that because you're the one who did it. So when I come back to give you the consequence within a flash,
but my thing is
you're going to understand that you're
I also think it's the
okay.
circumstances around it.
If someone just says something to you, though, like, oh, you're ugly. Okay, I said that, but...
Yes, what you think about me is none of my business.
Exactly.
That's what I was supposed to.
Yeah, so it's just like, I don't know.
So if you think I'm ugly, okay, that's none of my business. Because I know what I am, and it's not ugly. I am not, ain't nobody sitting on this couch hard on the eyes. So it just is what it is. Now, we are not arrogant about that. We don't go around with the pomp and circumstance, right? The pomp and circumstance and flaunting, and we're very simple. We are what you guys see, okay? And like I said from the beginning, we just don't look like all that we're going through. And for some of you guys, you'll never know what we've gone through until, for me, particularly until you read that book, because it's all there, So we really wanted to have that discussion today, because I think it is important. Guys, we need to start paying attention to each other. It may not be a direct result of something that you've done or engagements that you may have had that caused someone to feel a certain way, but everybody does not have the mental fortitude that others have. Everybody is not the same. And like Yakira said, if it defies nature for you to kill yourself, okay? Because you're going against your own instinct to survive. You're going against your own natural inborn survival instinct.
Except for the suicidal jackrabbits.
Yeah.
One
Juanita from Jackcrew. Yeah, don't be calling me Juanita. I am not Juanita. I can't help it if these jackrabbits.
I think that's the only natural suicide.
Wait, I'll be telling them, like, you're not going to make it. And I'm sorry, I can't swerve. I'm like, no. If you guys saw this, okay, so, for some reason, I seem to be the only person who drives my car that seems to run over bunnies. I don't know how that happens. But it's on the same street. And these aren't little bunnies. They're not the little cute ones, y'all. These are like big, like freaking javelina-looking rabbits. These are huge rabbits. And they try to leap and run out in front of my car. And I don't understand why they do it, because it totally freaks me out. But I told my son, I said, listen, at the end of the day, if it's between us and the bunny, I've got to save us. I am not going to swerve and I'll probably hit the bunny anyway, and now we done flipped over 2 or 3 times. I'm not, no, sorry, bunny, but every time I try to implore them, don't run out in the street. You can see them before they go. What happens is, it's like they stick their head up. Every time I've seen the bunny on the side of the road, and it kind of looks up and it looks at me. The bunny looks. He looks. He looks. And I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. No. And then so when they start running out, I'm like, no. And then I'm traumatized. Suicide. That's what I said the last time. I was like, oh, suicide. And Jonathan was like, you are one hater. I'm like, I'm not one hater, come Jack Crew. And so, yeah, I think I've hit probably 3, at least 3. It might be more than that.
More than that.
It might.
She don't even know her double death count.
Head count. I don't do it on purpose. I try to convince the bunnies, don't run it. Please, no.
Like they can hear you.
Yeah, well, they can bounce, and I'm going through all kind of changes when the bunny comes out, because there is nothing I can do. But it is this same street.
The very last time, I was like, no.
Because I can see it.
And I feel like the car kind of halt for a second. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I'm trying to take a nap. I'm like, oh Lord.
Because I'm not trying.
And then I feel it, and I was like, ah. But as soon as she hits it, as soon as the first boom hits, she's like, suicide. I'm like, damn, didn't even get it a chance to get past.
I couldn't. You can't.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying not even a chance to go under the back tires as soon as she hit the front.
Oh.
Suicide.
Because I'm not taking responsibility for that bunny. I tried to warn the bunny. I see you. Stay over there.
I saw
You're
you.
not
See me.
Because they look at me. Y'all, the bunnies look.
Bunny nightmare.
She just in the arms of the angels.
Bunny's jumping all over the place.
They threaten that the bunnies are going to come.
Instead of sheep, she counts bunnies.
And they're not bunnies either. They're like jackrabbits. They halfway look like freaking kangaroos. So, to say. They're like not little teeny animals.
Luckily, we have a bigger car.
Oh my gosh. It is traumatizing to me. That's all I can say. And my kids just think that's funny that I'm traumatized. I just think that's just not cool. But anyway, in closing, the only time we can speak of suicide in jest is when a jackrabbit runs in front of your car and makes the decision. Because John, am I lying? Every time they stand right there on the side of the road and they turn and look, and then they go. It's like they hesitate.
Man,
and
they don't like us.
And I'm like, no, stop.
We ugly.
Every time. So I don't know how many, but I'm telling you, it's the same street. And on that particular day, all we saw was Bunny killed.
I know that I was there without John for one, because Mom and I were we were driving for my permit. So yeah, and so she had hit one on the way back, I think. So that was interesting. And then the other time, Mom told me about what happened between John and so John was cracking up each and every time. So
because I'm traumatized every time. I'm not trying to kill the bunny.
At least we sent one.
That's why I said you're suicide.
We was playing Prince of Egypt the whole
All
way.
All bunnies go to heaven.
His head popped off like a baseball.
Don't say that, John. No, it didn't.
Wait, how does the dandelion song
No, it did not.
Mama had baby and the head popped.
That is not funny. Y'all gonna get a beat. 24 and almost 18. Y'all gonna get a beat.
I'm sorry, that's what it sounded like. It sounded like a crack from a baseball bat.
With a boom, boom, boom. And then I'm traumatized.
And then she gonna come back and ask, I hope I hit it in the head because I hope it's just dead. I was just like, well, I mean, you hit it with like a half a ton car, so I think it's dead.
I don't know why the bunnies do that. I don't know. Something about my car attracts the suicidal jackrabbit. It just looks like the perfect opportunity.
Because they know that one will kill him instead of just hurt him.
Maybe. They're like, well, we gotta
this
go.
Is one hater. We taking the light here. It's the light rail heaven law.
I am not one hater. In closing, for the second or third time. What?
Your fight is over.
You had a great death.
Y'all are stupid. It was a good death. That sounds like on Last Samurai. It was a good death. And in the 100 Day, that's where they say your fight is over.
Your fight is over.
In closing.
All right. As I was saying before, pay attention to people. Love people. Love them unconditionally if you can. That can be a challenge. It really can. But try to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Everybody does not have the mental fortitude that you may have. And you might not have as much fortitude as you are presenting yourself. So if there's anybody on the stream that is watching and has issues like that and feel ashamed of themselves or whatever because they owned someone else's shame, or you've adopted it as your own because of something that is in your filter, that's you're seeing it a certain way, you might be seeing it that way because of what was influencing you as you developed. And most of it, shame is a lie. I'm sorry. Now, if you did something evil to, and being one-headed on Jack Crew is not one of them. But if you are legitimately just doing evil things to people, I won't even say you should be ashamed of yourself. You just need to take responsibility for that. Like, you are a bad person. And there are bad people. If you're doing things that, as you're doing them, you know that I don't want to do this. This is not me. Or you feel forced into something, or pressured, or coerced, or like you're having to keep up. You have cognitive dissonance. The crowd is doing this. I'm not agreeing with it, but I'm here. I'm going to stay. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you have all that,
What are you talking about?
That's what I'll be saying to the bunnies. Don't do it, don't do it. No, but if you have those things, try to find one person that you can talk to, that you can trust. Shoot, you can send me an inbox. I don't care. I don't care, you know? If it's going to give someone some assistance and some release and some deliverance, if you think you have done the most horrible things and feel shame, read my story in my book. I guarantee you for many, 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 many of you, you will perceive that I've done worse things than you. But you'll understand how those things happened also. At this point, I did carry a lot of shame for years, for all of that stuff. That's why I had the issues that I was having. But again, something inside and someone, I had one in college, my dear friend Kenny, he's the only name that's in the book, and that's because I honor him as literally the man who saved my life, the young person actually. And he was there. He was there to listen. And then he was there, even though he's like probably 19 at the time, he was there to listen, and he was there to make a wise counsel decision and make recommendations and be supportive of what I was dealing with at the time. I actually did something that made him extremely angry because he found out something about me that I didn't tell him when this disclosure was happening. But in spite of him being so mad at me, frustrated, possibly feeling betrayed, he saw what the greater, more immediate need was, that I was in trouble and I needed help. And that's who he had to be. And that's who he was for me. And I believe God placed him right there in my life at that point in time because I needed him. And it took me 28 years before I could find him and thank him for what he did and tell him that he is one of my absolute heroes, that he saved my life. And so, read book, y'all. I'm just saying. It's very, very interesting. There's 3 other stories in there, and these are real people. This is not an author. Ruel Barksdale did not write 4 stories about people that he interviewed. The people that are in the book wrote their own stories and submitted them. So we authored our own story. And so some people think Ruel, because he's listed as the primary author, is that he talked to us and then wrote proxy for us. He on our behalf. But no, those are our stories and those are our words. And you get to hear our voice. And that's why every story in the book has a whole different feel. Yes, the experiences are different, but if an author writes a book, it reads a certain way because that author has a voice, all right? When you get Lessons Beneath the Mask from Pain to Promise, it's on Amazon, Kindle, the Nook, and all these other places. You can get one from me. Send me an inbox, and I'll give you the information on how to get it. Ebony Muscle Panther at gmail.com is the PayPal. With shipping, it'd be about $20. You send $20, you'll get an autographed book from me. $20. If you get it on Amazon, same thing. It's like $15, $14.99 or something like that, $95. But by the time you pay for shipping, it's going to be about $20. So I'm basically just letting you know it is available. The Kindle, it's like $5. I think someone said it's $4.99 or $5.99 on the Kindle. So if you have Kindles, and I understand that probably we may be actually doing an audiobook with each of the authors speaking in their own voice as we tell our stories. So that may be up and coming in an updated edition of Lessons Beneath the Mask. So we love you guys. We were here probably much longer than I anticipated because I really thought I'd be knocked out by now, but it seems like it's time for me to take some more Benadryl since I'm coughing and sneezing. But do you guys have any closing words? Like, do you have any explanations that you want to give, or qualifications, or what you said is what you said?
Earlier, I said Hannah Baker stay dead. That's not that kind of sounded messed up, but that's not necessarily what I meant. It's just the reasons that she killed herself, I feel, aren't reasons to kill yourself. You know, there are things that happened to her that I can completely understand, you know, and apparently in the show they kind of hinted at her leaving, you know, another school because she was bullied. But my thing is just like, you know, she could have survived certain things, because some of the things that, you know, she killed herself for didn't necessarily only happen to her, and those people survived. So
everybody does not have the same mental fortitude.
I get
At the end of the day, what may be a rock for you to step on and keep climbing, while that may be triumphant for you, it can be tragedy for someone else.
And I get that.
And so it's just, it is what it is. At the end of the day, what I feel is that we need to be sensitive and cognizant of what's going on around us. Those people who are associated with us, those people who engage us every day and interact with us. We need to have real relationships.
Yeah.
Stop being fake. Yeah. Stop faking the funk. And definitely stop owning or taking ownership of shame that doesn't even belong to you.
Yeah.
Give it back. I posted that your contempt for me because of me being transparent is of no consequence to me. Why? Because what you think about me is none of my business. All right? Go on and think it. But guess what? I'm walking in victory. I'm walking in triumph because I was transparent.
Yeah.
There's nothing to hold me in the bondage of fear or shame. Nothing. Because after 25 years of age, there really isn't much stuff that I've done. All my crazy, wild stuff pretty much happened a little bit, you know, early, unfortunately. Tragedy struck very, very early. And the next phase of my life was really just resolving and finding out who I was and how to actualize myself. And truthfully, some things that were unimaginable to me happened. Like, I never tried to be a bodybuilder. That wasn't even in my frame of reference at all, ever. But here I was. I became a world-class, international level bodybuilder. You understand what I'm saying?
Last thing I wanted to say was, you know, it's perfectly fine to not be okay. Just try to figure out a way to get out of the funk, whether that's relying on someone else. You know, there's billions of people out in this world right now. I'm sure you can find at least one person who will listen to you and who will understand you and who will try their best to help you out. So, you know, take advantage of the resources that are out there. There's a suicide hotline, you know. There are a lot of things you can do to get someone to hear you out. And I feel like that's the main reason people kill themselves, is because they feel like they're not understood and they feel like no one's going to listen to them, and they feel that they're not important enough to stay on this world. And I truly do believe that everyone is here for a reason. So, and people go through the things that they go through for a reason. So it's just like, you just need to keep fighting, and you just need to keep going on the path that you're on. And instead of ending it and cutting it short, just keep fighting. Like, it's unnatural to kill yourself. Just think that way. Think it's unnatural. It is not by natural law that you are able to kill yourself. Most animals can't kill themselves without the help of a car. So
they're not going to let me forget that. But those are very insightful words. And I think that, you know, with you really expressing what you meant when you said what you said, because it was kind of harsh. But you notice I didn't say nothing. I'm like, woo, yikes. No, I don't feel like that. That's them
like,
talking,
you know, it kind of just pissed me off, because it's like, they really did dramatize it. And I'm like, there's a lot of people that go through the things she's going through, but, you know, it's just kind of dramatized, and it kind of really bothered me that it wasn't, like, it didn't feel real to me. Like, it felt like it just didn't feel real, you know.
And you feel it should have felt more real?
Yeah, like, they should not have glamorized her suicide. You know,
They actually
have,
didn't think they glamorized it. They thought they made it very realistic and to show how horrible it is. That's what they thought they were showing.
You know, but in
it was very graphic.
It was graphic, but it was just like she kind of just sat there, and it's like someone who is traumatized with their life, and they're at that point where they're gonna kill themselves. I don't think they're just gonna sit there while they're bleeding out. I feel like they're going to be, and she just did it. That was another thing, and that's really why I feel like it wasn't realistic. Was because she just did it. She wasn't hesitant. She wasn't, there was no thought. There's a point where, you're kind of just tired of it. But I don't think people who kill themselves just like, I feel like they would fight with themselves.
But once the fight is over, you've made a decision. Let me say this, because that's very important. When a person who is suicidal is in conflict, that's the time where you have the opportunity and the window to get them, to help them. As soon as they have resolved and made a decision, their whole demeanor is going to look different. And they're going to look like they're okay and everything is good. But just before that decision, they're going to be in conflict because it is unnatural, all right? They are in conflict because they don't really want to be dead. They just don't want to be in pain, all right? And so during that conflict time, and even as they're going through things that you might know, make sure you make yourself available to your loved ones, to your friends. Talk to them. Be there for them. Avail yourself, even if they don't come to you. Make them understand that they are important to you and that you care about what happens to them. I told Yakira, I said, Yakira, if you killed yourself, that would not be okay with me. I would not be okay. I'm not getting over that. It's just not going to happen. And I don't need you to think that you are so incidental and so unimportant that I won't even notice or I wouldn't miss you. Are you kidding me? But people feel that way. They believe that. She believed it until she really delved in and really got an understanding of who I was from a different perspective. And it actually had to come from me having her. I said, Yakira, take this book and read it now. And I had been telling her to read it. I've been telling her, but this one particular day I said, take this book. Go read it now. Because you might start thinking something different. Now, she may not have, but I had faith and confidence and believed that if she read it, she would now be enlightened. She would now have a whole different understanding of who her mother really is and who I could be for her. So I just say during that conflict time, guys, if you can catch them before, then great. But if you know that someone is struggling, if you know that they're having difficulty, help them. Because some of these folk who are killing themselves, they're not just killing themselves. They're going into the school and shooting up everybody that they can shoot. All right? So you might get caught with a bullet because you didn't help someone else or prevent somebody on as much as you can. You can't stop.
You are trying to help.
You can, and that too. That's true. You might. Well, by the time they got a gun, I'm not trying to help them though. By the time they're pointing the guns in the room, I'm out.
Hey, but if you got that one honestly, to all if there are any young people who are still in high school watching this, if you have that one creepy kid who just sits there by themselves, make sure you talk to them. Because they might hit you with that.
Tell about that story that happened to you. The kid?
Oh, yeah, no, it's a real thing. It kind of sounds like a joke, but it's 100% real. Because they might come at you with that, don't come to school tomorrow. And that is 100% when you say, I'm not coming to school.
Did he actually successfully complete the suicide?
No, he got caught before he could.
Okay, so what's happening?
So what happened was, I was friends with this one kid who I wasn't necessarily friends, but I knew him and I talked to him every once in a while. And so, I guess he got into a really dark rut to where he was just I'm so tired of this school. and I don't want to be here anymore, which is crazy to me because, like, he was, like, one of the most chill people that I knew at that school at that time. And so there was this one day where he was like, I'm really tired of it. Like, we were talking, and he was like, I'm really tired of it. And I was like, school is school, you kind of just got to get through it. He's like, I don't really care about school. I care about the people. And I was like, well, what you mean? And he's just like, I just can't deal with these people anymore. And so I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you about that, but you kind of just got to live your life. And, I was trying to just kind of get him out of this rut that he was in, this mental rut that he was in. And so he was like, well, all I can say is, just be careful, the next few days. And I was like, what? What you mean be careful? He wasn't saying he was saying it without saying don't come to school tomorrow. But I ended up not going to school the next few days because I was just, I wasn't feeling good. But I also kind of just had this thing in my nose that was like, you know what, you might not want to go to school, And the next day that I did go to school, one of my friends who also knew this kid told me that he was arrested on school grounds because he had a gun in his backpack. So, and the teacher found it. So I was just like, oh Lord, well, that was his way of telling me, telling me I'm tired of these people, just
the problem. See, but that's the problem, though. When they use common.
What did you say?
I ain't scared of you.
No.
But when they use this common speak to say I'm tired of this does not equate to I'm coming to school tomorrow and blowing everybody that I can away. Exactly. It doesn't equate. It doesn't equal. I'm tired. I get tired all the time, about whatever.
But I just knew his background, and I knew that he was bullied and that, he kind of just seemed a little off from how I knew him. So I was just like, yeah, I know you're kind of the loner type, so... And it's just like, you see it all the time, Degrassi completely showed it. Freaking Drake got shot in the back and got freaking paralyzed. You see it. And there's another show that showed it as well. Degrassi The Next Generation, didn't they show that? Or the newer one, the Netflix one?
Yeah, they hinted at it.
Yeah, they hinted at it. So it's like you see it everywhere, but when you really think about it, it's kind of true.
The problem is that they're not giving, he said, yeah, you might want to be careful. Telling me to be careful is not saying I am so finished with this situation that I'm taking everybody out. And I'm going to tell you why. Because he made a decision.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to say. By the time they've made a decision, everything has changed. And it's whatever they're doing, they've already purposed that it's going to be done. And the information that he gave you was not sufficient enough for you to be able to go tell an authority figure, hey, there's something going on with this kid, that you might want to evaluate.
He didn't want me to do that. He didn't want it to get to that point. So he kind of hinted at it, but he didn't make it definite, like, yeah, I'm going to go shoot up the school, And I'm not 100% sure that he actually would have gone through with it. The teacher just found it in his backpack. So, he didn't end up with it in his hands, and he wasn't pointing the gun at nobody, but it was there, and that was where the problem was, because our school wasn't that dangerous to where you had to bring a gun to school like Lil Wayne. So it was just like a little off that he even had it, and we've had other
decision. He was getting ready to do some damage.
Yeah, and we had
Jonathan had pipe bombs when he was.
Yeah, no, we were threatened, with bombs multiple times. So
They had
when Jonathan went to that school, there was actually an incident where they had two of them in there. And they didn't even let y'all leave, though. Y'all had to go to certain places, and they were on a lockdown.
Yeah, we were in the same
like,
situation.
Here's my thing, but here's my problem. Wait a minute.
Let me out. What the hell?
Y'all wait. We got 2 pipe bombs in here that y'all found. How many still in here that y'all didn't find? Exactly. And you tell me go to the library. And the bomb is in the library.
My group was lucky. We were playing kickball. So they locked us down. They just locked us in that area. So we could
y'all
just
were
go nowhere.
outside
We were
on-
outside in the
on the
backfield, way far away. So stuff would have blown up or something like that. We would have seen it, but we would have been alright.
For us, it was this guy that looked really suspicious walking around on campus, and they said that they thought he had something in his jacket, but he was just walking around the school. So they locked us down because of that, but it was never
We had that
confirmed that
Cold
he had
black.
anything. Yeah.
We had him too, but
And it's like, we're in Arizona in the desert, so for the fact that you're wearing a jacket, and at that time it really wasn't cold, I can understand why they were suspicious.
I'm like, hell yeah, but you know it's 90 degrees out. Why you got a leather coat on?
Oh, hell no.
No, I'm sorry. When I was in school, matter of fact, anywhere, I call stuff out. I remember there was 3 times specifically where I've told Howie, I'm like, yo, you might want to go check that person out right quick. I'm just a very observant person, and I don't like I said, I don't like surprises, so I'm not about to have myself put into a situation. In a way, I guess you could say it was giving a tip to the school. I was giving a tip to myself. I'm like, look, I don't know where this fool's going. If I get caught with this fool, it's not about to be great. So I'm gonna just let you deal with that, Mr. Police Officer Man.
All right. Well, I think we have duly facilitated this discussion. We've gone all around the Robin Hood's barn. I think it's one of them 2-hour ones. So thank all of you all who have popped in and out, who've either been here the whole time or just kind of popped in and popped back out and all that good stuff. Thank you for supporting us. I appreciate you. Did you do your...
You're gonna want to move the head that's above the finish.
We just thank you, and we love you guys. So, smooches. Talk to you later.